here. But they were told, no, all you can do is determine preserve in place or relocate. So the 4 remaining determined that they wanted them preserved in place, and that would be the most culturally appropriate.
Now, of course, there's the staff there advising the council, correct? Did the staff or anybody connected with SHPD inform the council of the condition placed by the Planning Commission on this particular project back in December of 2007? I believe that was a meeting in April of 2008.
Right.
Were they fully informed about what the Planning Commission had done some 4 or 5 months before?
You know, I was just at the last burial council meeting. That was November 6th, and I informed them of that condition, which was number 5, and it stated that no building permit shall be issued for the house until the requirements of both SHPD and the burial council are met. And when I explained that to them, and I know you did the month before, they said, I had no idea. I didn't know about this.
Okay, so let's get this straight. So the condition, I think it's condition number 5. The critical sentence in there says that this is an approval of your house plans, but is explicitly conditioned on meeting the requirements of the very council that was now debating and deliberating over what to do, correct? It sounded to me then that that meant that ultimate final approval rested in the council, not the Planning Commission 4 or 5 months before. Is that correct?
Yeah, it sounded like the Planning Commission was trying to accommodate for, you know, what happens if they approve this final plan, this house design right now, not knowing, you know, what would happen with the EV after that.
Okay, so the commission's here saying, we're going to accommodate your needs, so you do what you have to do, and we're going to make it subject to you doing what you have to do. But the council's there not knowing this, and in fact being confused, I believe, over what they can and could not do. Is that right?
They believe they have no power when it seemed like the Planning Commission was actually asking for their input. You know, what is your opinion of?
Well, not only just asking, it's saying basically, if you require that, then we're going to go with it. But the council didn't understand that.
No.
And as it was understandable, what happened at the meeting? I mean, I think you went to one of those meetings, didn't you?
I went to one of those meetings, and you know, the people was like, you know, really angry and irate. I mean, they couldn't believe what was happening. You know.
Did the people that were there, the non-council members, did they understand what the condition was?
I'm not sure they did. You know.
Sounds like a lot of confusion.
A lot of confusion when I was at that particular meeting.
And there's a lot of anger, apparently.
Plenty anger.
Directed at whom?
At the council.
But here's the council, not knowing what their full power is, apparently, trying to do something apparently decent, with their conscience in mind, and yet all of this turmoil is occurring, and all this anger is getting directed at the council. Was that, you know, from a 360-degree view, was that a fair direction of the anger toward the council members?
I don't. Well, you know, just by you know, listening to Barbara Say's testimony, I mean, you get the impression.
She was strong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and she was strong a year and a half ago when she mentioned that she believed that it was a cemetery and not just, you know, individual burials. That whole entire area was known, you know, by the kupuna, that it was, you know, burial ground.
This sounded like a very unfair situation to place the council in, from my view.
They felt pretty bad about you know, what was happening.
Here are all these public witnesses yelling at them, as I understand?
Yes.
And frustrated?
Frustration.
Apparently confused?
Confusion.
As the council was, apparently.
Exactly.
And so why do you think this happened? Why was there such turmoil and uncertainty in such a critical issue before the council? Either of you.
Well, for me, I think the state dropped the ball somewhere, you know. And with her negotiating with the Planning Commission, obviously it shows that consultation should have been done with the Burial Council as well before the Planning Department issues the relevant permits. That's what I thought was, you know. But you might have something else to add.
Well, ultimately, Camille, maybe you can talk. At that point, I think NHLC got involved.
Right.
And maybe you can describe for the audience just what happened.
Well, actually, right after that meeting on April 24th.
Oh yeah, we should talk about that first, actually.
Right. Mr. Brescia's archaeologist had submitted a revised burial treatment plan based on the decision of the council to preserve and place all 30 burials and any additional burials found on the property inadvertently. That was a recommendation. But prior to that, the archaeologist had sought relocation of the 6 or 7 at one time found within the footprint of the house. So the burial treatment plan was revised to accommodate preservation in place of all 30 burials, including the 6. Now that plan never came before the council. That plan went to SHPD and was approved by Ms. McMahon on April 24th. It wasn't until after that we actually learned of the case, and also after that, Mr. Brescia received his building permits.
Well, maybe we should let the audience see this next part of the slide here, because that plan, which was apparently drafted by Nancy McMahon, approved and later approved on April 24th, provided for 3 key so-called preservation measures, which included concrete jackets, which are supposed to surround and cap each of the 6 or 7 burials, vertical buffers, which is a required space between the actual buffers and any building on top of it. Very unusual measure, not usually incorporated in such a plan. And more critically, because no cultural descendant had been recognized, or lineal descendant, there was no provision for any access rights for descendants to be able to go to the site in order to have religious or traditional ceremony or to pay respect. And so with this set of measures, none of which were proposed by anybody connected with trying to preserve the burial except Nancy McMahon, apparently. And